Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Belle, and this is Histories with me. So as you can see, today we are not in my couch, but outside. And we are also stepping away from antiquity a little bit today. Before I moved to Denmark, I actually didn't know this, but they had internment camps here during the Second World War. And I am now in the Frøslev internment camp and thought I would show you guys around here a little bit. So I have chosen to keep a little bit of the most sensitive pictures and stuff out of this video, but I do want to put out a warning if I have sensitive viewers out there, if you had family members that were part of the Holocaust, anything like that. It is always a heavy thing to see what was done to people during that period of time. And so I just wanted to issue a little bit of a warning in case this is something that is hard for you. So the Frøslev Camp was a so-called internment camp or concentration camp in the German-occupied Denmark during World War II. Frøslev is located in the southwest of Denmark, right by the German border. The camp was actually suggested by the Danish government to avoid having Danes deported to the German camps. Right now we're walking towards the guard tower. This is where the museum starts and also where all the prisoners were taken when they came into the camp first. 12,000 prisoners passed through the gates of this camp from its opening in mid-August 1944 until the end of the German occupation in May 1945. Among the inmates here were members of the Danish resistance, communists, and police officers. So now here in the guard tower we find various Nazi paraphernalia displayed. Among other things, there are a lot of weapons, there are some uniforms, there is an office that you can see right here, and that may or may not have been the actual intake office or just for general paperwork, it's hard to say. In here we also find a lot of paperwork and pictures, photographs, that for maybe obvious reasons I've chosen to keep as much as names and pictures as possible out of this video. The vibe walking through this camp is very different from a lot of other internment camps or concentration camps that I've ever gone through before in Germany and Poland, for example. There may be some different reasons for that. For example, that the leftover barracks are being used for other things right now, such as a school building, for example, a cafe, and several other museums. Or maybe the reason is that compared to a lot of these other camps in, for example, Germany and Poland, the living conditions were supposed to have been relatively tolerable in this camp. We have now entered one of the remaining barracks here, and each barrack had a chairman and a deputy appointed, and these guys were responsible to keep order among the other inmates, and they shared together a small room like the one we see right here. The other prisoners would live in a room like this one, and it was designed to hold around 15 prisoners, but as the number of prisoners rose in the camp, up to 30 people had to squeeze into a room like this. Obviously, radios and such were not allowed in this camp, but a few of them have actually been found in the Frøslev camp. Well, this gives a little bit of an insight into the life in the Frøslev camp. Now, I mentioned earlier that living conditions here were supposed to have been a little bit better than in other internment camps, and that is true. But from stories that you hear from survivors, or people that used to be imprisoned here, they had to line up every morning, and people were just picked out of this lineup and taken away. By the end of the war, about 1,600 prisoners had been sent on to German actual concentration camps, and over 200 of these Danish prisoners were killed or died there. But by the end of the war and the end of the occupation, Scandinavian prisoners, a lot of Scandinavian prisoners anywhere, were actually saved by the Swedes and the white buses. The camp housed male as well as female prisoners, and it seems that they had at least some materials for creative outlets. There are drawings and handmade games, embroideries, and a lot of artifacts around. There were also Danish prison guards in this camp, and apparently they helped smuggle letters and things out for the prisoners, and in return they were given homemade gifts. Some of these gifts were, for example, wood-carved spoons and cigarette holders or cigarette cases, and you can see them mixed in here with the other artifacts on display. I also just quickly want to add that the Frøslev Camp was a work camp and not actually a death camp. Alright, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm not going to say I hope you enjoyed it, but I hope you found it informative. I really found this trip informative, and I tried to take as much pictures as possible while still being respectful here. Anyway, I hope you've learned something, and I really hope to see you guys again for my next video. Thank you for watching, and take care.